Guys Talking Ball podcast. We are back live after another week here, about a week and a couple of days. We recorded last Monday. Now we're back to our Tuesday. So I guess 8 days. Whatever. We try to push through here. We got another episode of Hard Knocks to watch after we're done recording, which the first episode was great. It brought back, I think this one is going to be way better than the Giants offseason. Hopefully you see a little bit more competency. And I think anytime Mike Tomlin is going to be on it, it's going to be great. But we'll find out what episode 2 brings in. We are just celebrating. Grant has no idea. Ethan and I were going off in the group chat. Has no idea what we were all excited about. But it is. NDSU was up 20 at halftime against Butler. Gave it away. And then Jackson Money decided to put his team on his back and carry them and get them a win over Butler, and a nice win. And Dave Richmond and company are looking pretty good right now, playing hot. Obviously, you don't want to see them blow a 20-point lead, but nonetheless, as Grant's favorite football coach Kirk Ferentz says, this isn't gymnastics. There's no style points. A win is a win. And Jackson Money, it looks like a nice transfer portal addition from Division II Northern State, which, fun fact for you guys, is if I didn't go to NDSU, that was going to be where I was going to go to college.
There you go. Honestly, he was the best player on the court.
He was.
He really was. Yeah, absolutely. Not even close.
NDSU's Twitter account tweeted out the Jimmy Chitwood GIF that says "I'll make it," and a good nice little reference there, because that's where the shot from Hoosiers was made. But Speaking of Hoosiers, they are in the 12-team college football playoff. We have the playoff bracket set here. And we're not going to preview the week ahead games, because we'll do that next week when the week ahead. But nonetheless, we've got a few things to discuss here. Did Alabama get screwed? No. If Alabama had an argument to get in, don't lose to Vanderbilt or don't lose to Oklahoma. And also, if Alabama beat one of those two, if my math is mathing correctly, I believe they would have been playing in Atlanta last week, and they would have been in.
I don't have a problem with them being left out. I think the committee actually did a good job on it, to be completely honest. Like, they kind of backed themselves into a wall when they put SMU ahead of them, even initially in these last rankings, because I don't know how you can even kind of back up, oh, hey, they're 8th. They lost their conference championship. Let's let a team that didn't even make a conference championship into the field. Like, that's just not – it doesn't work that way. Even so, I was just happy they actually kept it. They let SMU in. That was absolutely the worst-case scenario for Alabama. That was worse than SMU losing, because then obviously they would have been in over Clemson pretty easily. But if they would have got blown out, Alabama's probably in. Like, they literally could not have had a worse opportunity, worst game happen. Like, that absolutely screwed them.
And I know the committee this year, they said they weren't going to penalize teams for playing in a conference title game.
They can't.
And they can't, say what you want about the ACC compared to the SEC. But guess what? If you want to make that argument, I'll compare the talent on Alabama's roster to the talent on paper to SMU's roster. Don't lay an egg and score 3 points against the Oklahoma Sooners, and don't give up 40 on the road to Vanderbilt if you want to make the playoff, Alabama, and don't give the game against Tennessee away where you're sleeping through that whole game where they didn't want to be there.
And don't talk to me about playing easier non-conference games. All 3 of your losses were in conference, like to 6 and 6 teams, 2 of them. Like, exactly. No, you don't get to make those stupidest claims.
This is not a year for Alabama to make the argument about the non-conference, because this is what Alabama's non-conference schedule was this year. Western Kentucky, South Florida, 5-7 Wisconsin, and a team whose season is going to end in Fargo on Saturday, Mercer. So
Yeah. Hey, they played a playoff team.
they did.
They did play a playoff team.
They did play a playoff team. But yeah, so now they get to play Michigan. But I, regardless of what happens in that game, I will not acknowledge it because I will only remember the 2024 New Year's Day Rose Bowl game between Michigan and Alabama. But
Because that's the one that actually counts. That's in the record.
one. That was the one that actually counted.
That's actually
right.
in the record books.
It is in the record books here, and the question is the seeding, and I'm sure this is going to be brought up quite a bit, especially if Oregon loses in their second round game, because Penn State, they're like, yeah, this worked out for us. We lost the Big Ten championship. Don't really have a great win on their schedule per se, but they probably have the easiest road to the semifinals between playing. They have SMU at home, and then they'll play Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, which Boise State, I believe, is undefeated in the Fiesta Bowl. So maybe it's not as easy as we think it's going to be. So that and Oregon, they get rewarded by either having to play Ohio State or Tennessee. Now, I will give Dan Lanning credit on this because if this was Nick Saban or Kirby Smart in this position, could the whining and bitch fest that those two would have had, it would have been indescribable and just annoying. And it's like, just go out there and beat them. Dan Lanning will be like, it doesn't matter who we play. We're just going to go line up and kick their ass. And I got to give him credit because I think the team has taken on that mentality as well.
Well, and you know what? If you want to win the national championship, you're going to have to play these teams anyway. So it's better to go in with the mindset that Oregon has than the mindset I'm guessing Ohio State has. Oh, feel bad for us. We got a bad matchup. We should have been a lower ranked team so we could play someone higher. You know, Ohio State fans and Ohio State players probably think they should be the 6th seed playing SMU, or they should be the 5 seed playing Clemson.
I thought Ohio State should have been higher than Penn State, to be honest. I know they made the conference championship, but they beat them like that. Yes, you might have lost a game or two that you weren't supposed to, but they beat them. Like, they only lost one game in conference, did they not? It was to Oregon.
Well, in Michigan.
Oh, they lost
to Michigan. And Michigan, yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that. They're still relevant. That's right. But yeah, I don't know. I would have put Ohio State over Penn State. That's really my only gripe.
But that game did give us probably the best matchup we're looking the most forward to. I think that's going to be a low scoring. It's going to be a fight because Tennessee's front seven is going to be able to get after Ohio State, whose offensive line is beat up, and Michigan just dominated them for 4 quarters. And we're going to see. We're going to see if Ohio State's Ryan Day is going to be able to rally the troops and get them to bounce back after that loss to Michigan. And other question is what does Texas do with their starting quarterback position? Do they take these 2 weeks and prepare as Arch as a starting quarterback? Because he is not good. I don't think Quinn Ewers is good enough as an anticipatory thrower where he can only throw guys if they're open. And when they get into the tough spots, they just end up just throwing those 50-50 balls that end up being incomplete or intercepted. I think with Arch, they are able to utilize more of his legs, something that they're not able to use with Quinn. And I think he's a much better thrower of the football than Quinn Ewers is.
You know, this week of practice and going up into next weekend's game, it's going to be big for the future of Texas football, because if they keep Quinn in, but if they have a bad outing and he keeps playing the way that he's playing and how inconsistent that is, and they somehow lose this game, to Clemson and Klubnik, that's going to be so bad because Klubnik was in their backyard, and they passed up on him because they knew they were going to get Ewers. And then also, this will be the third time they've played a, quote, playoff team this year. And I know we're looking ahead, but you're 0-3. Is Texas really back, or are they just frauds with better talent than everyone else, and they beat the brakes off of shitty teams? So to your point, Dylan, with all those other headlines going on, in addition to how bad Ewers has been of late, maybe Sark and his coaching staff look at it and say, you know what, let's do the Jalen Hurts to Tagovailoa switch before we're down at halftime in a national title game.
No, Sark was not the OC that year.
I'm not saying he was.
I know that. It just got my brain thinking about it, and I had to think. But it was actually Brian Dable who was the OC when they made that switch. And I also think, regardless, because I don't know what Ewers' pro prospects are. I think his stock has fallen. I think he falls out of the first round, and I don't think he returns to Texas. So I think he's going to be starting quarterback somewhere else next year.
It's funny you mentioned this year's starting quarterback class. I don't think if you're a team and you need a quarterback, this is a bad year.
Yeah, both guys, Ward and Sanders would be below probably at least up to McCarthy last year.
Oh, 100%.
Possibly Nix.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the 5th or 6th quarterback taken.
But yeah, here we are. Oh, we're going to take him in the top 5 because NFL teams are stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
and then
I love how just one thing on like the playoff. But everyone when they first said it was coming, oh, it's going to be like 2 teams and it's going to be dominant and everything. I don't even know if you can say you feel confident about any team 100% going into this thing. Oregon's probably the closest thing. They almost lost to Ohio State. They almost lost to Penn State. They let Jonty run for 200. Literally anyone could win this thing. Arizona State's offense looks unbelievable. You could make an argument for almost every team.
Georgia doesn't have a quarterback who's played meaningful snaps.
No.
In big
have
games.
They said that well, I know I saw they said they don't have a timetable for back to returns, so that tells me he ain't playing in the playoffs.
He had the UCL. That's like Tommy John.
It was
stuff. He's not going to play.
He's not playing. And no. I saw a report yesterday that said they already fear he might not play in the college football playoff. And let's read between the lines. That's Georgia not giving ammunition to whoever they're going to play next to know that they're going to start a quarterback who's never started a game before.
You try to find as much tape as you can on their backup. Because there's no way he's playing.
Well, yeah, we have the second half of the game from Saturday.
Yeah. I get it's not the same motion technically as a pitcher, but if it's a legitimate UCL injury, you're not going to be able to throw that ball at all.
Well, look at Brock Purdy 2 years ago in the NFC title game. He couldn't grip the football.
No, it's just not going to happen.
Saturday on the game-winning touchdown, he handed that thing off with his left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because he, like you said, Ethan, he probably had no grip in his hand. If it was a partial UCL or a full UCL, he has no grip in his hands. He can't play.
No.
Well, I was just looking at articles. I just searched Carson Beck injury on Google, and it said there's no timetable, which tells me he's done. He's done. And I don't know, does he come back? He has to come back next year because his draft stock has plummeted. So he's either, and I don't know what Georgia has for portal guys or for coming in as recruits, or if they're going to hit anybody in the portal, because I know the rumor was Raiola was going to transfer, but it sounds like he's going to be coming back this year. So we'll just have to monitor. Maybe we'll get a clear picture.
Buy someone else.
100%.
Yeah. Probably.
You look at all the best quarterbacks out in the portal right now, and you're saying, "Oh, these 3 schools are interested. These 4 schools are the final destination." Georgia's in there for every single one.
Yep. Malik Murphy is in the portal.
Yeah, supposedly Ole Miss is the one that even lured him in there, and he's not even visiting there, I don't think.
Well, Lane Kiffin did tweet out that an article yesterday that he entered the portal, which is also wild as coaches tweeting out players of other teams entering the portal. But we'll be back next week with a full preview of each of the 4 playoff games. Let's go to the NFL. We'll start with
Dylan, real quick.
Yep.
One change I think they do need to make to this playoff seeding is this. The number 1 seed shouldn't be playing the 8th or 9th team. The number 1 overall seed in the second round should get the lowest seed.
Yeah, they need to reseed it.
They need to
reseed it, yeah.
Yeah, so like hypothetically speaking, if SMU pulls off the upset and they're the lowest seed, that's who Oregon should play.
Wasn't that how the NFL used to do it?
That's how the NFL does it.
That's how they still
do. Okay.
Yeah, they still do it. Yeah, essentially the divisional rounds, Ethan, are lowest seed plays the 1, and then the 2, quote, highest play each other.
Yeah.
Because I think baseball does that too in the playoffs, don't they?
No, baseball's one that I know got rid of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they used to though, right?
They used to, yes.
Well, they also used to have a rule that if you're
couldn't play in the division.
Yeah, the divisional
until
series.
Like the wild card. No, not even the
AL or NLCS. Yeah, the LCS. But let's go up to the NFL. We're gonna recap the week that was week 13 with our team of the week and disappointing team of the week here. So with the first pick is going to be Cowboys won. Second pick. Ethan, and then the caboose as this is going to doink off my microphone. The Grant being the caboose, just like the Chiefs, doinking off and in. Lucky bastards. But we'll start with my NFL team of the week here, and I got to go with the Los Angeles Rams. Beat a hot Bills team. Any time that the Bills threw a punch, the Rams punched back harder. Things were clicking. They were able to stay on schedule for pretty much the entire game. And I probably should change this by just saying the Rams offense because the defense did give up 42 points. Mm-hmm. But like I talked about, the offense stayed on schedule. And when McVay is on schedule, he's in his bag, and it is the most dangerous play calling you're ever going to see. And Matthew Stafford looked like it was in his first year in LA, as him, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua are clicking on all cylinders.
That offense is nasty. If there's one team that I'm praying doesn't get the 4 seed, if we get the 5 seed, it's the Rams. I want absolutely nothing to do with that offense now because they are humming now that they got Nacua back, plus a couple O-linemen that have been sitting on IR all year.
And Kyron Williams is running the ball really good. And you've seen Blake Corum start taking on a little bit more role in the offense, too.
Matt Stafford. So you give him time, he is going to shred you.
He looks like he can play another 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
Especially because he's been able to be upright with the offensive line being healthy again.
And it's the ultimate. Okay, if you double team Nacua, guess what? Cooper Kupp's going to get open. If you double team Kupp, Nakua's going to get open. They are,
and then Robinson's a hell of a 3.
Robinson's a great 3. And he's that deep threat that team needs because Puka and Kupp are not those kind of players. So they just complement each other so well there in Los Angeles. And then, like Dylan said, when you have McVay calling the shots, it's over. Because the only reason the Rams have really lost this year is because they've beaten themselves. No team has really gone in and absolutely dominated the Rams. The Rams just get in their own way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh, Boone's pissed.
Boone's not a happy dog.
And is angry.
I don't know what his deal is tonight. But I'm gonna go Homer here. I'm going Vikings. I thought this was their most complete game of the year. Defense showed up. I know Kirk passed for 300 yards, but it took a long time for him to get there. It was not very easy. Obviously, the 2 picks. Drake London saved him another one when he ripped it out of, I want to say that was Metellus' hands. But super good performance. I know Darnold didn't make it sound like it's a big deal, like beating Kirk Cousins and everything. But we all know deep down, like that was something he wanted to do. He wanted to perform versus the old quarterback. And he did. 5 touchdowns. This offense is humming. And they're not even running the ball that well. That's the craziest thing. They're just back there slinging it. And Addison's starting to really look like a first-round pick, probably for the first time. This is the best he's ever looked. And I don't really think it's that close. I know he had the big game last year versus San Francisco. But the last 2 games have been the most consistent he's played. And if JJ keeps getting open, I mean, like, he is. But you put those 2 together, like, good luck. Like, that's probably even better than Nakua and Cup.
Yeah, and Brian Flores has got to be – well, I saw he was mentioned – his name has been mentioned for the Bears head coaching job. He's got to be getting another look at a head coaching job because the way what he's done with his defense. And Byron Murphy has to be a Pro Bowler this year. I mean, every time you watch the Vikings defense, he's there making a play. When they need a play, who's the one making it? It's number 7 in purple.
So, my turn, Dylan?
It would put you in,
Yes.
Grant.
Well, I'm gonna stick in the NFC North, and I'm gonna go with this team again. I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions. Again, scoring 34 points, on Thursday night to get the win, and then just the sheer aggressiveness that Dan Campbell coaches with, and how that affects his players in a positive manner.
The stones
on that man, the meaty clackers that individual has. He just doesn't care about what other people think because he believes in his players and his players believe in them. You want to talk about why teams win and why teams are successful and why a lot of teams lose. It's because coaches want to talk about culture, but Dan Campbell actually has built it in Detroit. Like, this team does not back down. Green Bay had a good night. They went down and they scored 31 points. Josh Jacobs is looking like maybe one of the free agent signing pickups of the year. Had it not been for Saquon Barkley, everybody would be talking about Josh Jacobs right now and how dominant he has been this season. But even after his touchdowns, the Lions did not flinch. They didn't back down from anybody. They got hit. They hit the Packers in return harder.
And that decision to go for it on 4th down without any timeouts, in the moment it didn't sound great, but I think I don't blame him for doing it because he felt like, our defense has been on the field for a long time. They're tired. Mm-hmm. Let's not put them back on the field here because they were moving the ball down. They were probably going to go get down into field goal range. And, of course, the Packer fans out there, well, the quarterback took a knee behind the line of scrimmage. That should have been down. It should have been a turnover on down. Shut up. No. And if the NFL was going to change a rule, it would have been for the Green Bay Packers. It would have been some stupid rule like that. They're basically the Ohio State of the NFL here. And it just to see them go and get a win. And also, you talked about it, Grant, being the culture. And there was no doubt. Everybody wanted to go for it. They didn't want to give Green Bay the ball back, and they all put it together, and they got that yard they needed. They kicked the field goal. They went home, won.
They on that 4th down play, they looked at Green Bay, and they said, Green Bay knows what we're going to do. But you know what? We do not care. We do not care. You know why? Because our best is better than their best.
What was that a Mike Tomlin quote? We don't care.
We don't care.
But Ethan, who do you got for your disappointing team of the week?
Well, are we doing snake order? So technically it's me.
Oh yeah, Grant.
Yeah.
Grant, you. We'll stay with you. Who do you have for your disappointing team of the week?
It has to be the Tennessee Titans. But I get coming into the game, they were 3-9, and their season technically wasn't over, but it was a very slim chance that anything better would happen. But this is why you just don't fire a head coach and hire someone who coaches offense to be a young, hotshot NFL coordinator. It's like Brian Callahan has not called plays his whole career. And now he gets a head coaching job with a roster that's awful, and he's calling plays. Like where Tennessee was from 2019 or 2018 to 2021 under Mike Vrabel and to where they're at now it's honestly kind of amazing. Like how fast they've fallen, and they've fallen back to being the same old Titans. But this team is a disaster, and you're up 6-0, and you let Jacksonville score 10 straight points in the fourth quarter. Like
Mac Jones led Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. Like this team is lost, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have a head coaching change.
They shouldn't have had it. They should have kept Vrabel, but they thought Will Levis was the guy. Now that's their bed. They got to lay in it.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to the team that actually won, but they didn't even pass for 125 yards. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what's gotten into Hurts last 3 weeks. He has not gone over 200 yards passing. 3 straight weeks now. I think it's been 2 weeks he hasn't gone over 130. So I don't know if he's just not seeing the plays, because I saw some of the tape this morning on Twitter. I saw people post, A.J. Brown's open. Devontae Smith is open. Like, what he's waiting for, I don't know. It's like he just wants to run. It's like he went back to when he got benched at Alabama in the playoffs. Like, it's just like, it just doesn't make sense why he's not making these throws. And you even have your life is actually pretty freaking easy, considering you just got to hand it to Barkley and he gets 10 yards a clip. Like, it's not rocket science. So why they're struggling so bad, I don't know. Like, they've been solid all year, and all of a sudden now it's just hitting some wall that doesn't make sense for almost a month.
And Philadelphia has the best defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jalen, you don't need to be the MVP.
Nope.
Well, Kellen Moore is his offensive coordinator, and usually you do see that is he does get off to those hot starts to start the year, and then teams figure him out, and he does not adjust well. He calls plays. He doesn't call an offense. And you also see now that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts don't talk to each other. They don't like each other anymore. There's drama there. Nick Sirianni is not the type of guy that seems like he's going to be able to fix it. He already shaved his head once. That trick, that card he had up his sleeve is gone. That one's not going to work. So I don't know what he's going to do now. And I'm not going to be sad if the Eagles falter here in the next few weeks. But Ethan, what do you? Oh no, you just went as your disappointing team of the week. My disappointing team of the week is going to be the New York Jets. Now, it's been a tumultuous year. I didn't have high hopes for the Jets. I thought their offensive line was not going to be good enough to protect Rodgers. I thought their defense was going to be good, but they were not able to get pressure on Tua at all. He carved up that Jets defense, and Aaron Rodgers is still finger pointing and blaming other people and not showing good leadership at all. Where, you look at Tua, him in the post-game press conference, talking about how, because of my inability to get down and avoid hits, it put us behind the 8 ball, and now we're scrambling to try and find ways to win. The Jets, basically this thing starts at ownership, is getting, if you're able to get Woody Johnson to sell the team. They fired the GM, they fired the head coach. The quarterback that they traded for is probably not going to be back next year. And the Jets' playoff run of not making the playoffs is going to continue to 14.
Because guys, at this point right now, with the way Rodgers is playing, now the Jets have to answer this question: what is he showing that makes us wants to bring him back next year?
Nothing. And they've catered to him every way. They've brought in Randall Cobb. They've brought in Devontae Adams. They've brought in Alan Lazard. They've basically built a roster. I mean, he's turning into the LeBron of the NFL at this point. And I mean, the Lakers,
they kept Nathaniel Hackett last year after Robert Saleh wanted him fired.
And then they stripped the play calling duties from him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the Lakers this year, they're also not having a good year. But when your best player is sleeping with a teammate's mother,
mom,
I can't
it's going to cause friction.
A lot.
It's going to cause friction in the locker room.
So, I had to get that one in. When we brought up LeBron, I was like, I got to get that joke in. But that's
want to hear a crazy stat. I just found this. Most yards gained from scrimmage since week 9. Saquon Barkley has 1,018. Who do you guys think is second? And how many?
Zeke Elliott.
Good guess.
Jamar Chase.
Okay.
I'm going to say 785.
Jamar Chase, 659.
Okay.
Wow. Nice
Almost
work, Grant.
500 more yards for Barkley.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
Well, dude, to put it in perspective this year, Jamar's having a great year. And
he's unbelievable.
He's unbelievable. He's going to earn himself a bag. But you look
if it's in Cincinnati or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you compare him to what Justin Jefferson is doing. Justin Jefferson is having another great year. The difference is he's putting up good numbers. He's not putting up Justin Jefferson numbers because he's right behind Jamar Chase in terms of yards.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't scoring touchdowns to start the year. That's the difference. Jamar's been getting in the end zone all season and in a bunch recently. But it just shows how good Justin Jefferson is when he's, quote, having a down year, and he's still within 100 yards. He's within striking distance of the league leader who's going nuclear right now.
Yep. Speaking of the Bengals, can I just say this? I hate being a Cowboys fan. I hate it. It sucks.
So I just saw there's some kid in the portal right now got an offer from North Carolina. Who in the fuck is offering from North Carolina? They don't even have a coach.
Or is it just some NIL booster?
I don't know.
Probably.
Hey, if you come here, or is their interim coach doing some recruiting now since he's technically still employed at the university?
Probably what it is.
It's still crazy to me. Why would you even consider it?
But
maybe he wants to be coached by Bill Belichick. I don't know.
I don't get it.
Back to me hating being a Cowboys fan is, the Vikings fans, Dan Winnesota was tweeting me out. He's like, oh, yeah, you poor bastard Cowboys fans have it so rough. And me trying to explain, I was like, Dan, I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 in a month and 5 days, 7 days, month and a week.
Mm-hmm.
The last time the Cowboys have done anything, made it to an NFC championship game, I wasn't even 1 year old, and the last time that the Cowboys played in the Super Bowl, I was wearing Steelers gear. There is a picture on Super Bowl Sunday of my dad and I, of him in a Steelers crew neck and me in a little Steelers onesie. And he was like, "You're not serious." I was like, "Dan, the Vikings have had more success." And as you bastards remind me all the time, well, this ain't the History Channel. The Cowboys have done nothing in your lifetime. And when I try to bring it up, I still get crapped on. How does this work?
It works because Jerry Jones is an arrogant prick who knows his
true.
football team is bad and isn't worried about the football team now, and he's just worried about his brand. And his brand as the Dallas Cowboys, he's going to try to make it be the biggest, baddest thing that the world has to offer. So in return, we get sick of you, Dylan, because you're associating with the Dallas Cowboys who are with Jerry Jones. So it's truly nothing against you. We just truly despise Jerry Jones and love to see this Dallas freefall.
And you know what the thing about it is I can't blame the entire year on Mike McCarthy. I think he might deserve another year. I mean, when you look at this is not a good roster at all. And he's pulling everything he can to get out of this team. The team has not quit on him. So there's got to be something that's got to be worth something. And Jerry, I guess to his credit, if we got to say something nice about him, said that Mike's going to be back. Maybe Jerry looked in the mirror and realized, oh, this roster is dog shit, and let's regroup next year and get a better team around it. But I doubt it.
Didn't he say Garrett was safe and then the next day canned him?
Something like that.
No, it wasn't one.
Jason Garrett, it's kind of in a similar situation where he entered the Garrett's last year where he walked in without a contract for next year, and Jason Garrett probably should have been fired like 5 or 6 years ago, or 3 or 4 years prior to that, but they kept having reasons to bring him back, and I mean probably because he was the best clapper in the NFL, but. I wouldn't be mad if they brought McCarthy back. It's just they need a better front office because Mike has nothing to do with the front office. That is all, unfortunately, Jerry and Stephen Jones, and there's needs to be a borderline roster overhaul in Dallas because they have no depth and they don't have much talent. But we're gonna keep moving here. We're enough soggy sorrows here. We're going to go do NFL Week 15 game of the week here, and that's me. Pick my game, and I'm going to go up to the Pacific Northwest, and it actually just popped up on my Facebook feed that 6 years ago I was in Seattle for a Vikings-Seahawks game, got a picture with Randy Moss and Charles Woodson. But another night game going on this week, the Packers-Seahawks. Now, Packers coming off a loss, Seahawks coming off probably their best win of the season, winning down in Arizona. And when you turn on a Seahawks game this year, there just seems like there's a little bit more juice, and it's back to that Legion of Boom days where there's a little bit of that extra juice, that decibel meter is a lot higher than what it has been towards the end of the Carroll era here. And the Seahawks, they're a young coaching staff, and it looks like they have figured some things out. Geno is playing at an all-time level. They got 2 great running backs. It looks like Kenneth Walker is going to be playing again, and we're going to see can the Packers rebound after a loss. How are they going to handle playing in a hostile environment at night? Because CenturyLink at night is a completely different animal. It just sounds audibly louder than when you're watching that afternoon game. So that's why the Packers Seahawks is my game of the week.
I'm going to go with the Eagles again at home versus Steelers. So if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to obviously fix that passing game because you're not just going to be able to run all over the Steelers. Like TJ Watt's going to put that to bed real quick. So they're going to have to be able to throw the ball. And then if Pickens doesn't play, which it doesn't look like he's going to, that's a huge loss for the Steelers. So how do they go against arguably the best defense in the league without their best player? So could be low scoring, a little slug fight, but slug fight, either one works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'll be a good one too. I think that's a 325 kick, I believe.
Yes.
Could be. And the coordinator matchup is going to be interesting. I think it's a standstill between Art Smith and Vic Fangio, but the who wins between Terrell Austin and Kellen Moore. Is Austin going to be able to get pressure? This is a game that TJ Watt needs to play big. He needs to play up to that contract, needs to play up to that last name to give the Steelers a shot, especially because they're going to be on the road and playing at the Link is not an easy, or at Lincoln Financial is not an easy place to play.
No, it never is. And my game of the week here, guys. I can't believe you let me have this one. I'm going to go with Bills Lions.
I let you have the obvious ones.
Buffalo's coming in after their defense got embarrassed last week. The Lions have 10 days off to kind of recoup a little bit. We'll let the emotion go down after going forward on fourth down and trying to win that, get the win last Thursday night. I want to see how the Bills rebound after losing this last week. Earlier this year, I believe it was back-to-back games they lost to Baltimore and Houston. And the week after their loss, they didn't look good. How is this Bills defense going to look after they played a shit game last week and you have Ben Johnson dialing up the plays? And if this Buffalo pass rush can't get home, which it has done for the most part all year, and leave that secondary kind of on an island, which is not a good secondary this year, the Lions could have a good day and they could light these guys up like a Christmas tree. But in return, if the Lions still have all these injuries up front and Buffalo has their big, dominant physical offensive line moving forward, really getting after it, that's also going to be a long day, for the Lions on defense. So long short, I think this game's going to be entertaining, like last week's Rams-Buffalo Bills game. And it's going to come down to who has the ball last, if you ask me. Either going to score a touchdown or a field goal to win the thing, or, like I said, going down and kicking a field goal, to win it at the end. So, Bills-Lions, and who knows, maybe this will be the first of two meetings we have this year with them.
It could be. It could be. Well, if the Chiefs aren't ever going to lose, they just keep finding ways to win. And the Bills are in the chat I'm not picking the Bills to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs until I actually see it. Mm-hmm. But that I think that we all had our game of the week here. And before we get to curveball of the week, we do got to talk some FCS playoffs here. We're going to pick winners of the quarterfinal games here, and we'll start with the Friday game. The Idaho Vandals travel to Bozeman to take on the Montana State Bobcats on a Friday night here. Who do you guys got? The Bobcats or the Vandals?
Pretty sure I picked the Fighting Potatoes last week, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Bobcats, the number one seed.
Yeah, I'm with Ethan. Vandals last week, Bobcats this week.
Yeah, that is a clean sweep. Montana State right now is looking like the best team. What
idiot didn't allow them to do the Fighting Potatoes for their mascot?
It's a great question.
I think it's more than fair.
I don't even know what a vandal is. Like, you vandalize or what?
Right? We shouldn't have that. That's not good. That's worse than like the Sioux. Like, that's not
the Fighting Irish or the Fighting Sioux. Get the Fighting Vandals out of here.
No, we're the Fighting Potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Just shoot potatoes into the crowd like a potato gun. Those things can get dangerous.
Pure entertainment right there.
That'd be awesome. Thunk.
Hey, look, they hit Grandma again.
Grandma didn't get run over by a reindeer. She got run over by a potato.
So I have our answer of how they became the Vandals. Idaho's athletic teams go by a name earned nearly a century ago by a basketball team coached by Heck Edmondson, whose team played defense with such intensity and ferocity that sports writers said they vandalized their opponents. The mark made by that 1917 team went far deeper than wins and losses on the court. In 1917, Harry Lloyd Jazz McCarty, a writer for the student newspaper, the Argonaut, tagged the team with a new nickname and a pregame write-up. The opening game with Whitman will mark a new epoch in Idaho basketball history for the present gang of Vandals. Have the best material that has ever carried the eye into action. McCarty's indirect suggestion stuck. By 1921, McCarty and Edward Maslin Holm, the dean of the College of Liberal Arts, succeeded in their push to have Vandals officially adopted as the nickname for Idaho teams. So that's how Idaho got their nickname. And we'll go down to Brookings, where we have a rematch of a week 2 matchup. South Dakota State takes on the Incarnate Word, 10 a.m. Saturday on ESPN. Here, who do you guys got?
Cam Ward is not on that team anymore. I'm going Jackrabbits.
I'm going Jackrabbits as well.
I believe I got to go with the Jackrabbits too. That game was close. This game is going to be much colder than that week 2 game. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Give me the Jackrabbits. And then we're going to go just a little bit further down south in South Dakota. We're going to go University of South Dakota versus UC Davis. This one might be, I think, if there's a game that's going to be a tight one this weekend, I think this is the one. Both teams have looked impressive throughout this year, and no one's really talking about them in the FCS. But 1 p.m. Saturday, who do you guys got?
Give me the Yotes. They were impressive.
I'm gonna take the Yotes as well.
The Yotes. Grant had UC Davis losing or their season ending last week to the Redbirds. They end this week to the Coyotes. I will also take USD. So another clean sweep here. And to round it out, we've got our NDSU Bison taking on Mercer. The first time Mercer has ever come to the Fargo Dome. Come to Fargo. They played in Brookings last year. Make the trip up to Fargo this year, 1:30 Saturday on ABC. Here, who do you guys got?
NDSU has to play better than they did last week in the first half, but give me NDSU.
Give me NDSU by 21.
NDSU by 21. Now, let's see here. Mercer also played Alabama this year. You know, I'm really hoping they beat Alabama or Mercer by more than Alabama did for no reason at all, actually. But give me the Bison as well, which sets up a NDSU SDSU rematch, which a lot of people thought in Frisco we get it a week early here. So let's finish up the week here with curveball of the week. And you know, this is a household favorite here, I think, between us three. You guys we've all made it, but I want to know what you guys put on it here. What do you guys, when you guys make poor man's nachos, what are you guys putting on it?
Oh, definitely some salsa. You just pour it on top.
Do you put it on after you microwave it or before you microwave it?
Oh, after.
After.
After, yep, good call.
I mean, you're literally just. Go ahead, Dylan.
If you have it, if I have some hot sauce or something, I'll put it on before I microwave it, and then put the salsa on after. But you never want to put the salsa on before you microwave it.
No, because then your microwave is going to be an absolute disaster.
Not if you have a cover.
Fair.
But sometimes what you got to do is like you can get like the frozen chicken or steak you can buy. I can't remember the brand, but and then if you have like some like regular Tostitos queso, obviously the shredded cheese, salsa, and what I also like to add on there is sour cream on the top.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I'm not a sour cream guy.
But Grant?
Yeah, honestly, probably just any sort of Tostitos or even like a spicy nacho or a nacho cheese Dorito. I'm throwing some cheese on
Ooh, that is a good choice on that. Putting some Doritos instead of the regular tortilla chips. That is a good one there, buddy.
Yep.
Or two is like some chili cheese Fritos sprinkled in on there too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, layer of Doritos, little shredded cheese, pull that out of the microwave, Dylan, like you said, probably just some sour cream on top. We're spreading that around, and we're calling it good.
But there it is. That's that is our poor man's nachos. And Grant will have curveball next week here, and we'll be back to preview. We'll preview each college football game. We'll probably skip recapping the week 14 in the NFL or week 15 in the NFL and just go ahead just because of time to try to keep it around an hour. But check us out on all of our socials. We'll be posting stuff there, and leave a comment, like, rate, subscribe, review, and thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next week.